A very good morning, evening, afternoon from wherever you're watching. This is the Three Quarters Podcast. We are back with our second episode since we came back. I'd like to remind you to, if you want to interact with us, of course, our handles, our social media handles are at the bottom of the screen. So my guest today is somebody who I have known for years. I'd put it at 19 years now.
Yeah.
We've been buddies for 19 years. It's somebody I'm proud to call my boy. It's somebody I'm proud to call my brother. It's somebody who has been in the sporting scene for a very long time. He has gone to the levels of captaining the Kenya Morans, which is the Kenya national basket team. Joseph Khaemba, I can't call you that. So
Yeah.
welcome very much to the Three Quarters Podcast. We'll start with, I have to let guys understand, or you have to let guys understand why you're called Sodi by a certain group, by a certain group of guys. So you go ahead, man.
Well, mostly it's guys who are with in high school.
Yeah.
So all of them will call me Sodi. So
Yeah.
no one calls me by any of my government names.
Yeah.
So, but that's a nickname I got from my dad because my dad was called Sodi because of you remember those times when they were doing the punishment in school. So
Yeah.
my dad will really react to everything that was going on in terms of indiscipline. So that's why they call him Sodi.
Yeah, it was a nerd joke,
Yeah.
basically, for
Yeah.
how Sodium reacts. But anyway, Sodi, thank you very much for coming to the Three Quarters Podcast.
No, for sure.
I'll
Thanks
start
for
you.
having me.
Yeah, I'll start you off with. Ever since I've known you, yes, you've been passionate about other sports.
Yeah.
But hoops, basketball has always been number one for you. Where did this start?
Well, I was introduced to basketball by my dad because earlier on in my dad's career, he was a coach at Bush. So for me, every time after school, we'll come, do our homework, freshen up, and then by the time his practice sessions was ending at around 5:40 back then, we would be in charge of carrying the balls back to his office or back home. So what he used to do was make sure that he always, as a joke, take 5 shots before you put all the balls back into. So that exposure at a young age was what drove me into basketball. So as a kid, of course, you will play many other sports, but my dad was my greatest inspiration. And then when we got to high school, 2003, Kiboz, we all know him.
Kibiru Muthaka, yeah.
Honestly speaking, I have never seen talent like Kiboz.
Yeah.
And for me, Kiboz put me on literally because there was a time in second time I think we were doing the inter-house
sports,
junior sports. So he gave me, I remember those Black Iverson questions and literally take over and take from here, you do whatever you want to do. So having those two people in my life was instrumental for me to just play basketball, and it's been an amazing journey, ups and downs till now.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just add so that people can understand where we're talking from. Sodi's dad, renowned educationist and former principal of the Alliance High School.
The Alliance High School.
Christopher Khaemba. So anyway, I see you broke into the team, actually Form 2, but you broke into the starting 5, Form 3. We go on to nationals, which we had never seen.
Yeah.
We beat a Mangu team that was decent, and then Form 4, of course, I always forget that. I always remember that final. We lost to Mangu.
Yeah, we lost to Mangu.
Finals. But for me, the most important thing, or the question I would want to ask is, by virtue of the fact, the school that we went to gears you towards white collar professions, or gears you towards university.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that the school has ridiculous talent in sports, almost each and every sport in that school always used to make it to the nationals.
Yeah.
And I think about the players we have witnessed in the time that us guys were in school. You've talked of Kibiru Muthaka.
Yeah.
He was a point guard in 2003. Outstanding player.
Yeah.
He's been interviewed even in the Business Daily. He said if he was not a businessman, he would be a hoops player.
Yeah.
I think about David Cinder, who actually played college ball later on, yourself. Move on to rugby. I think about the 2003 rugby team that beat Alenana
Yeah.
star-studded team during the Prescott finals.
Yes.
Funny thing about that story is Kenyan international Sydney Ashoya,
Mm-hmm.
rugby international, says that there are only few players he fears,
Yeah.
and one of them was Edward Okello from that team.
Yeah, I remember. Eighth man, yeah?
Exactly. We have coming to our team, we have Ian Were,
Yeah.
who went on, of course, to captain machine and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing is common amongst all these guys.
Yeah.
At some point, they pull out of playing
Mm-hmm.
and focus on studies
Yeah.
because of a career after that.
Mhm.
The question I have for you is then, how does Sodi leave Bush and lock into a career in basketball after high school and to have a very long career at that?
Well, it wasn't as easy as I thought it would have been because my dad, of course, being the educationist he was always insisting on books, right? But if you showed him that you can actually balance the two, then you then he's good with you. Like, yo, continue. We're gonna support you in this. We're gonna do this. Funny fact, first year in JQuat, we were playing the playoffs in Mombasa against KPA. You know, my dad showed up for that game.
Oh.
Yeah, and that was my first year in campus. But I think it's a matter of basically striking a balance and trying to see what's really good for you and what's going to work for you. Because there is an inspiration to why I keep doing this. I'm not just playing basketball to say I played basketball. No. For me, what I always tell people around me is basketball is a tool that can actually take you far places, and it's a you can use it as a key to open doors into everything else. It's just that we are not marketed it as a career, first of all, because everyone that in our generation you can see is from high school going to college, whether you play or not, and then afterwards it's strictly into your career, and then you don't even think about sports in terms of playing. Maybe just go and watch and reminisce your days, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's where we lose so much talent. All right, and especially now with whatever is happening, is many doors are being opened through sport, and I can guarantee you, let's say in the next 2-3 years, there's gonna be so much investment into sports. If everything goes well, that's what I'm saying. And for me, I just keep on playing because I wouldn't want my kid to have to make that choice between either you're gonna study and going to work and then live miserably thinking about what could have been, or take him into sports and then build him up from there. Because what many people don't know is you can be really good in sports and really good in education.
True. I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, right now, we are trying to force the narrative to change into parents supporting the narrative, into parents supporting their kids in sports. So for me, the reason why I do play is because I want the next kid that comes after me to be comfortable enough to actually want to excel in two areas of his or her life.
Yeah. I like that, and I like that from the perspective that two things. Number one, attrition. From high school, we've just talked about our school. We can talk about the Mangu guys. We can talk about OT. We can talk about Robert Kamau, the guys we played against. We can talk about the rugby team. I mean, a couple of them did go on to play. But the attrition is great because sports is not a career. And I think that's what you're saying, that we need to change. I remember because I was heavily in football. And on one occasion, later on in life, I was in the banking sector and playing into banks. And one of the players, so you know these banks that used to have mercenaries from the Premier League. So one of the players tells me, he asks me, "You never played after high school?" And I'm like, "No, I mean, I just finished high school and went on to study." He's like, "Yours would have been a very good career." And I'm like, "To what extent?" I mean, I had to go do a law degree and it doesn't add up. So it we need to change the narrative, like you said. We need to make sports a career and to plug that attrition because of the talent. Now, you then move on to club rugby. Sorry, I beg your pardon. I've done too many rugby interviews. You move on to club basketball. Currently, you play for Ulinzi.
Yes, I did.
And when did you break into the national team?
Well, I started in 2008 for under 18. That was we finished high school. You know, funny thing most people don't know is actually finished high school before turning 18.
Yes, that
Wait,
much
I
I
was, I
remember.
was I was too young, and then because my dad got me into school, because you remember Johnson Boy, yeah.
Yes, yes.
So him and my dad are like brothers. So
Yes.
when Johnson started school, he decided, why don't you just guys grow up into the school and everything. So
Yeah.
first time was in under 18, 2008.
Mm-hmm.
And then from then I went back to college, and then college I played for JQuad up to 2012, I think.
Yeah.
And then when I started work for NSF 2013, that's when I broke into the national team.
Yeah.
The senior national team.
The senior national team.
Yeah, so in between 2008 and 2013, there was really nothing much going on for me in terms of national team. And that's one thing that we actually need to address, because you have to set up programs for kids coming out of high school that we identify as potential senior members of, who will be potential senior members of the national team, right? Put them in a program that nurtures them. So at the time when they're breaking into the national team, there is not much of a culture shock or anything like that happened that they are gonna face. It's just gonna be facing people out. Like someone's retiring, you have someone already in place to
take over.
Yeah. So I think that's one of the ways that we can actually do to bridge that gap. Especially make sure, because we lose a lot of talent from high school it going into university. Because get this, provincial finals games, Nairobi, anywhere, right, in the old system that was, those games, well attended than our club games.
The club games, yeah. You're right.
For us, it doesn't make sense. So where does that talent go? Because it's a pool of about, let's say, 50 talented kids each year.
Yeah.
And of course, excuse me, the people who are gonna make it is probably, let's say, 1% of the 50.
True.
Which is still a good number.
Is fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So
we just need to increase the pool of 50 to 100.
That's the thing. Yeah. So universities get people scholarships based on sports, and then workplaces, as we go along, we before we get to, I know this is a topic that we have to talk about, get to allow the people who work for you into sporting activities, open sporting departments in your offices, and then I think the major thing that we work for us to protect all the talent is privatization and franchising of teams.
Of teams, yeah.
Yes.
That's something we've talked about a lot here. So I'm fully aware of that. Now, we have BAL in Africa, Basketball Africa League.
Yeah.
We have quite a bit of focus on the basketball game on the continent.
Yeah.
We have AfroBasket. We have multiple tournaments. We have seen the Kenyan Morans perform well. What do you want to see happen in the game of basketball going forward?
First of all, I would love to see more private companies come in and sponsor basketball, because one thing that people forget is sports in general, that is an entertainment business.
Yes.
And if anything is to go by, the entertainment business is such a large pool of money for them, all right? And then sports is directly marketing scheme for companies. You don't really have to do too much to market yourself when you're doing it through sports. All right. And I think once we get more people into supporting our sporting federations or sporting teams, I think we will grow into another, or better than Europe. Because get this, most African players who are really talented, where do they go?
They go to Europe.
You either go to Europe or you go to the States, right? Yeah. So why not just set up a good program
create the economy here?
Yeah, create the economy here, such that none of our talent is exported.
Yeah.
All
and
right?
the ones who are now the good ones who are going for the big money.
There you go. That's fine. But see, the thing is, most people right now will target to go abroad because that's where money is.
Yes.
All right? But if we create a culture whereby you have everything at home, where do you need to go?
You don't see the need to leave. I see what you're saying. If you franchise, if you privatize, if Sodi and Aria Local and all the other players are earning 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 bob a month, then there's no desire to go outside there.
Yeah, and then you see the people really don't know how hard it is to play out there. I'm with Magal plays in Spain, right? So you have to see the tear that they have to go through and everything that they have to go through while out there. But you can't tell them, come back to Kenya and start your life. Why, right?
Yeah.
So thing is, if we had such economies in Kenya or economies in Africa, right, whereby we get all our talent home based, everyone is back home, you're comfortable when you're home, right? And you will actually give it your best when you're near family. Countries like Angola, countries like Egypt are doing well in that because most of their talent is ingrown. None of it goes outside, and they actually perform in at high level. We have to stop the mentality that we actually have to be out there for us to be better. Yeah. Because everything that we need is here,
and you provide the environment.
That's it.
Yeah, so I have to do this as I finish. I'm sorry. I know we've had this debate so many times on our high school group, and I did ask actually your colleague Ariel Local in a different dispensation.
Yeah.
I just have to ask this.
Go ahead.
Of course, you know where I'm going. LeBron or MJ?
LeBron James. LeBron James.
Why? What's the reasoning for LeBron?
His longevity and everything he's done for the sport outside the sport.
The sport.
Yeah.
And that you have to give it to. I mean, you know, for me, it's always MJ.
Yeah. No, of course, the thing is, growing up, we all everything was MJ. Even right now, as I play, there's certain things I will do because I saw MJ do, right?
Yes.
But in terms, for me, I don't measure him. He's great. No lies about that.
Yeah.
MJ is great. Let me not say that I'm saying this because MJ is not. No, MJ is great.
Yeah.
Thing is, LeBron has modeled being first most family guy, right? And everything that he's done, he's used basketball as a tool,
yes.
to expand maybe his financial status or to expand conversations outside basketball.
True.
Yeah, so for me,
I mean, no doubt about it. In terms of social impact,
Yeah.
there you're right. LeBron has. I mean, it's debatable. Of course, Jordan's social impact is from the corporate side.
Yes.
LeBron's is more from a moral side, for lack of a better word. But hey, look, that argument can go on for long, so I won't even get into it.
Because I'm in another group, my university group, and anytime something happens, that debate always comes up. So
I've had it for so long now.
It will never. I don't think it will ever. Even if LeBron gets to 6 rings, man, that comparison will always be there. Like, let's do what Kobe said. Kobe said we can enjoy all their greatness together. So we don't need to always have them compared or fight against each other, because it's funny. The thing is, we are the ones who are comparing them, but them out there, they're just cool.
They're cool with each other.
Yeah, that's okay with each other.
They're cool. That's true, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, Sodi, thank you very much for coming to the 3 Quarters podcast. This has been an interview in the making for a very long time. As you go to AfroBasket, to you and the Kenyan Morans, from us at the 3 Quarters podcast, we want to wish you all the best.
Man, thank you, man.
And I know the World Cup qualifiers are later on in the year.
Yeah.
We also want to wish you the best. And we hope that, I mean, so we've had so very, very many conversations about the commercializing aspect. We hope to see that happening in basketball, and we hope to see you be the person championing that.
But I think I'm gonna keep on playing for a bit, and then through that we see how it is.
We see how it goes.
Yeah.
Joseph Khaemba, I call him Sodi, or many people call him Sodi. He's been a friend of mine for very many years. Thank you for gracing the 3 Quarters podcast. As always, guys, I've told you, if you want to interact with us, you can look at our handles at the bottom of the screen. This has been a fun episode. I'm looking forward to the next one. Cheers, guys, and have a good one.